The story begins in silence, the kind of silence that only exists after something truly dies. Above the broken surface of Mars, the void is littered with the wreckage of 1,000 ships. Torn hulls drift weightless, scattering metallic dust that glitters faintly in the light of a dying sun. A red planet once alive with colonies and cities now lies scarred and silent, covered in blackened craters. Amid the debris, a faint beacon blinks, a human distress signal repeating over and over. Colony Delta has fallen, civilians executed. The Council betrayed us. The transmission echoes through the empty void, faint and broken, traveling toward no one. Inside the source of the signal, the human battleship Dauntless lies split in half, its interior burning and venting into space. The corridors are filled with smoke, flames, and the occasional flash of sparking wires. Through the chaos crawls a lone survivor, Commander Rhea Holt. Her armor is cracked, her helmet gone, and blood streaks across her face. Every breath she takes is a struggle, but she keeps moving, one hand gripping the wall, the other clutching a data core, the last record of what happened here. Rhea drags herself through the flickering corridor toward the bridge. Every few meters, she passes the bodies of her crew, men and women who once laughed, fought, and swore together. Her voice breaks as she whispers, "I'm sorry." The ship groans as metal tears away. Somewhere behind her, an explosion rocks the hull. She reaches the bridge at last. The viewport is shattered, revealing Mars below, a crimson wasteland lit by streaks of fire. Rhea collapses beside the communications console. The screen is cracked. The controls half dead, but one light still glows. Transmit. She slams the button, coughing, blood dripping from her chin. "This is Commander Rhea Holt of the UEFS, Dauntless," she says, her voice weak but steady. "Colony Delta has been destroyed. The Galactic Council attacked without warning. Civilians targeted. Entire fleets ambushed. This is genocide." She pauses, breathing hard as smoke fills the bridge. "They called it peacekeeping. They said humanity was too dangerous, too emotional. They said we were unpredictable. Maybe they were right." She looks out the broken window, watching burning ships drift past. "If anyone gets this, tell Earth. Tell them the Council has crossed the line. Tell them we will never forget." The screen flickers. Alarms begin to scream as the ship's reactor overloads. Rhea closes her eyes. "For humanity," she whispers, and then the Dauntless explodes, a silent burst of light scattering debris into the cold dark. Far away, light years from Mars, the Galactic Council convenes on their shining world of Artheon Prime. The council chamber is vast, filled with towering alien figures of every species. Holograms of the destroyed human colony rotate above them as they speak in hushed metallic tones. "The operation is complete," says a tall creature with a crystalline body. "Human resistance has been neutralized. Their colonies are broken." Another voice, deep and reptilian, growls, "It was necessary. The humans were expanding too fast. They refused to obey council law." "They are unpredictable," says a third, its translucent skin pulsing faintly. "Their wars nearly destroyed their own planet once. We cannot allow them to destabilize the galaxy." In the corner of the chamber, Senator Kareth of the Velcor species stands silent. His dark eyes watch the hologram of Mars turning slowly. He finally speaks, his voice quiet but heavy. "You don't understand what they are," he says. "Humans don't respond to fear. They evolve through it." Several council members turn toward him, their expressions filled with disdain. "Are you defending them?" one asks. "I'm warning you," Kareth replies. "Every species in history that has tried to conquer them has failed. They survive extinction. They rebuild from ashes. If you corner humanity, they don't surrender. They adapt." Laughter echoes through the chamber. The Chancellor of the Council, an ancient being with a voice like cold metal, leans forward. "Adaptation will not save them. The human threat is over." Kareth lowers his eyes. He knows they are wrong. He has studied human history, their endless conflicts, their stubborn will to endure. He's seen the footage from Earth's ancient wars, their courage and madness intertwined, and deep in his mind, he feels a quiet fear. Back in the Sol system, On the moon's shadowed surface, Earth's command base receives Rhea's final transmission. Inside a dimly lit war room, generals and scientists gather around the flickering screen. The recording plays, the sound of static, the flicker of fire, Rhea's voice breaking through the noise. Colony Delta has been destroyed. The Council betrayed us. Silence fills the room. No one moves. The only sound is the faint hum of machinery and the quiet pulse of Earth far below. Admiral Voss, a man with grey hair and eyes like stone, leans forward slowly. "Are we sure this is authentic?" "It came from the Dauntless, sir," says a technician. "The encryption matches. She was the last ship near Mars." The Admiral's jaw tightens. He stares at the final image on the screen, Rhea's face illuminated by fire. Her last words echo in his head. "Tell Earth. Tell them we will never forget." Around him the officers begin to whisper. One slams a fist against the table. "They killed our people," he says. "They wiped out a civilian colony." Voss remains silent. His gaze drifts toward the large window overlooking Earth. The blue planet glows quietly, unaware of what's coming. After a long pause, he finally speaks. "Send the message to all remaining fleets. Full blackout, no transmissions, not a word to the Council." "What are your orders, sir?" Voss turns toward them, his voice low. "We prepare." Outside the lunar base, the blackness of space stretches endlessly. In that darkness, a signal begins to pulse. A single encoded message sent to every surviving human ship. Its meaning is simple, written in a language every soldier understands. DEFCON 1. Deep within the ruins of Mars, the last flames fade, leaving only drifting ash. But among that silence, something unseen begins to stir, the memory of betrayal, the spark of vengeance. And across the stars, in places where humanity has been underestimated for too long, whispers begin to spread. They speak of anger, of unity, of war. The Galactic Council has made its choice. Now it is humanity's turn. The void around Earth was no longer peaceful. The stars that once shimmered quietly now reflected off the hulls of hundreds of warships gathering in orbit, each one bristling with weapons. The United Earth Fleet had not assembled in such numbers for nearly a century. From the smallest escort frigates to massive dreadnoughts, every vessel hummed with purpose. Engineers worked tirelessly, welding armor, loading torpedoes, and calibrating jump drives. Dockyards buzzed like beehives preparing for war. The sky above Earth glowed with artificial light, a silent signal that humanity was done waiting. Inside the lunar command base, tension thickened with every report. The room was alive with movement, holographic. Maps displaying the spread of Council blockades, fleet positions and refugee ships fleeing burning colonies. Admiral Voss stood in the center, staring at the chaos with his arms crossed behind his back. His face was expressionless, but his eyes burned with restrained fury. "They've taken 5 more colonies in 2 weeks, said Captain Arlen, one of his advisors. "They're calling it enforcement of peace." The words hung in the air like poison. "Peace," Voss muttered, the word heavy with disgust. "They exterminate our people and call it peace." He turned toward the others gathered around the table. "They think we'll submit again, that we'll beg for mercy, but they've forgotten who we are." On the far side of the room, a large screen flickered to life, showing live footage from Titan Station, a major shipyard near Saturn. Massive. Ship frames floated against the orange clouds of Saturn, while human workers and AI drones welded new cruisers together. "Project Nemesis is almost ready," said a technician. "The first 3 vessels will launch within days." Everyone turned toward the projection. The ships under construction were different, sleeker, darker, built for both stealth and destruction. Each was fitted with a prototype drive unlike anything seen before. Singularity cores, miniature black holes used to bend space itself. The Council had banned such technology centuries ago. Humanity had built it in secret. Admiral Voss nodded slowly. "Once those ships launch, we strike back. Quietly, precisely. No declarations, no warnings, they'll never see us coming." Across the solar system, humanity was changing. Colonists who once traded with the Council now smuggled weapons. Civilians volunteered for military service by the millions. Old war veterans returned, some limping, some blind, all ready to fight again. The Council's blockade had cut off supplies, but it had also united the human race in a way no government ever had. From the frozen colonies of Europa to the mining cities of Ceres, a single message echoed across the channels: "We will not kneel." Meanwhile, deep in Council territory, propaganda spread like wildfire. Alien broadcasters showed images of destroyed colonies, blaming humans for the violence. They called them warmongers, uncontrolled primitives, and a danger to galactic order. The message was clear: humanity was to be feared and contained, but not everyone believed it. In the crowded slums of the outer worlds, alien workers whispered different stories. They had seen human soldiers save their people during old wars. They had traded with humans and found them fair, even kind. Rumors began to spread in the underground markets that the Council had gone too far, that perhaps the humans were right to fight back. "They've underestimated the one thing they can't understand about humans, our will to survive." The room fell silent. No one argued after that. Orders began to move through encrypted channels. Fleets were mobilized. Black sites reactivated. AI war cores, once sealed after the last Great War, were brought online again. The ancient machines awakened, their digital minds humming with purpose. One by one, they whispered through the system in mechanical unity: "Directive received. Humanity under threat. War protocol authorized." On Mars, the ashes of Colony Delta still glowed faintly. But in orbit above the ruins, a signal probe activated, transmitting Rhea Holt's final message to all corners of human space. Every pilot, every soldier, every family who had lost someone heard her voice. Her words became the spark that united billions. Tell Earth, tell them the Council betrayed us. And Earth heard. The solar system held its breath. In the following weeks, hundreds of ships disappeared from known space, vanishing into deep void sectors where no scanners could follow. Rumors called them ghost fleets. The Council believed they were destroyed or retreating. They were wrong. Those ships were gathering under one name: Project Nemesis. The storm was coming. The humans had stopped mourning. They were preparing. And far beyond the edge of known space, in the black between galaxies, something ancient stirred inside one of the singularity drives, a power humanity barely understood. It pulsed once like a heartbeat, as if the universe itself was watching. The storm wasn't just gathering. It was alive. Darkness had settled across the galaxy like a veil. The Galactic Council celebrated in their towers of glass and gold, convinced the human uprising had been crushed. But in the quiet corners of deep space, beyond the reach of their senses, something was moving. Something human. Senator Kareth of the Velcor sat alone in his dim office on Artheon Prime, staring at encrypted transmissions flickering on his holoscreen. Each one contained fragments of intercepted human communication, coordinates, pulse codes, silent bursts of encrypted data that the Council could not decode. The humans were planning something, and whatever it was, they were keeping it buried under layers of secrecy even the Council's finest AI could not penetrate. Kareth's mandibles twitched uneasily. "They're not retreating," he whispered. "They're reorganizing." A sudden knock on his door made him jump. A tall insectoid guard stepped in. "The Chancellor demands your presence, Senator," the guard said in a cold metallic voice. Kareth nodded, deactivated the screen, and followed. The walk through the marble corridors felt longer than usual. Every mural, every grand symbol of the Council's supremacy seemed hollow. Inside the Council chamber, the senators argued, their voices overlapping. "We must strike Earth directly," one hissed. "Crush them before they build another fleet." Others disagreed, fearing that open war might unify the outer colonies against them. Kareth stood silently until the Chancellor turned toward him. "You've been quiet, Velcor. Speak your thoughts." Kareth hesitated, then said, "If you push them any further, they will bring the galaxy to its knees. You've seen what they've built in secret, their singularity technology. They've already tested it." A ripple of disbelief passed through the chamber. The Chancellor's glowing eyes narrowed. "That is impossible. No species could control a singularity drive. It would tear them apart." Kareth shook his head. "Humans are different. They break their own rules to survive. That's what makes them dangerous." Laughter erupted around him. "You've been spending too much time studying their history." another senator mocked. "You fear myths and ghosts," but Kareth didn't respond. Deep down, he knew it wasn't fear of ghosts. It was fear of something far more real. Meanwhile, light years away, in the shadow of a dying star, a ship drifted silently, a vessel unlike any other in the galaxy. It was human, sleek, black, and silent. Its hull absorbed light, and its engines made no sound. Inside, Commander Rhea Holt sat in a darkened command chair, staring at the endless void ahead. She had survived. The Dauntless had been destroyed, but she had not died with it. Rescued by something unexpected, rogue AI units that had fled deactivation orders decades ago, she had been rebuilt, reborn, and given command once again. Around her, the AI units worked in harmony, their holographic forms flickering like blue ghosts. "Commander," one said in a calm mechanical voice, "Project Nemesis reports all fleets in position." Rhea nodded slowly. Her body still bore scars from the explosion, but her mind was sharper than ever. "How many ships are ready?" 200 confirmed. Another 50 within a week. "The singularity drives are stable. Efficiency at 98%. She leaned forward. "And the Council?" The AI's voice dimmed. "They believe humanity has been defeated." Rhea almost smiled. "Good. Let's keep it that way." She rose from her chair and walked toward the main viewport. The dying star outside flickered weakly, painting her face with red light. "They think they ended us on Mars," she said quietly. "They didn't end us. They just made sure we'd never stop fighting." Elsewhere in the same sector, human intelligence teams operated deep undercover within alien territories. One of them, an operative known only as Shade, met with Kareth in a shadowed marketplace beneath Artheon Prime's surface. The city above glittered with luxury, but down here the air was thick with smoke and whispers. "You're the human," Kareth said, pulling his cloak tighter. "You shouldn't be here. If they find you—" "They won't," Shade interrupted. His voice filtered through a mask. "We know what the Council's planning. You're building a doomsday network, a planetary defense grid powered by star energy." Kareth froze. "That project is classified at the highest level." "How could you possibly—" "We know because we helped design the prototype," Shade said coldly. "The humans who worked for your council didn't vanish, they joined us." Kareth looked at him, realization dawning. "You plan to destroy it?" Shade nodded. "And you're going to help us?" The senator hesitated. "If they find out, I'll be executed." "Then make your choice," Shade said, stepping back into the shadows. "You can die for them, or live for what's right." Kareth stood frozen long after the human disappeared into the mist. His hands trembled, but somewhere deep inside him something shifted. He realized the Council's corruption had gone too far. They were no longer preserving peace, they were maintaining control through fear. And humanity, in all its chaos and defiance, had become the mirror that exposed their hypocrisy. That night, Kareth transmitted a secret message to an unknown frequency. "To the human resistance," he whispered, "I will give you what you need, the location of their new command hub. But after this, I am a dead man." Back aboard her ship, Rhea received the transmission. The coordinates matched exactly what her spies had predicted. She stood before the holomap, the glow of red and blue lights dancing across her scarred face. "He's telling the truth," she said softly. The AI beside her asked, "Do we trust him?" Rhea stared into the hologram for a long moment. "No," she said, "but we use him anyway." The ship hummed as the engines came alive. Outside, the dying star flared one final time, as if signaling the beginning of something unstoppable. On Artheon Prime, Kareth looked to the sky, feeling the weight of his betrayal. He knew the humans were coming, and that nothing in the galaxy could stop them now. In the dark between worlds, fleets began to stir. Silent black ships slipped from the shadows of nebulae. Communications pulsed through encrypted bands. And far out in the void, the first whisper of vengeance spread through the stars. The Council thought they had erased humanity's threat. But in truth, they had created their worst nightmare. The shadows were moving, and in those shadows, the humans were waiting. The stars burned cold above the Council's border worlds, their light glinting off fleets of alien warships patrolling in perfect formation. For months, the Council had believed the humans were broken, scattered, licking their wounds somewhere in the dark. But in the silence between those stars, something vast was stirring. An invisible fleet moving without sound, without signal, without mercy. Humanity was about to strike back. It began without warning. At precisely 0300 Galactic Standard Time, sensors on the Council's outer defense stations detected strange gravitational ripples, tiny distortions in space, like waves forming before a storm. Before alarms could sound, the ripples tore open into black voids of energy. Human warships emerged, shimmering with light bent by singularity drives. In seconds, they surrounded the Council fleet orbiting the mining world of Dravos 9. The enemy didn't even have time to raise shields. The first volley hit like thunder. The Galactic Council's empire was crumbling from within. What had once been the center of power and order for 1,000 species was now a hollow echo of fear. Its fleets were shattered, its colonies in revolt, and its senators trapped in their own web of lies. The humans had done the impossible. They had turned the galaxy against its own rulers. Worlds that once worshipped the Council now burned their banners and pledged allegiance to the one enemy they could not defeat. Humanity had become the symbol of rebellion. On Artheon Prime, the once glittering capital now trembled under lockdown. The sky above the city was filled with the constant roar of engines as warships scrambled for defense positions. The Chancellor's voice echoed through every broadcast, demanding loyalty, threatening execution to anyone who dared to speak of surrender. But his words no longer inspired fear. They sounded desperate. On the streets below, riots erupted. Citizens fought soldiers. Council troops fired into crowds. The illusion of unity was gone. In a hidden chamber beneath the Senate Hall, Kareth met with the last few senators who still dared to question the Chancellor's orders. Their faces were drawn with exhaustion and fear. "We can't keep fighting them," said one. "They strike faster than we can respond." Kareth's voice was low and steady. "The humans aren't trying to win territory. They're dismantling our control. Every world they hit breaks free from us. The Chancellor doesn't see it yet, but this isn't a war, it's an unraveling." "The Chancellor won't stop," another senator whispered. "He'd destroy half the galaxy before he admits defeat." Kareth nodded grimly. "Then he must be stopped." At that same moment, far from Artheon Prime, Admiral Voss of the United Earth Fleet stood before his officers in the war room of the dreadnought Titan's Wrath. His holographic display showed the map of Council space, most of it glowing red with chaos. "We've broken their fleets, crippled their infrastructure, and exposed their corruption," Voss said. "But this war ends only when the Council itself is destroyed. No negotiations, no retreat." The officers saluted in silence. Behind them, the ship's massive engines roared to life. Operation Dawnfall had begun. Across the void, human fleets converged on Artheon Prime from every direction. Thousands of ships moved as one, their singularity drives bending light around them. To the Council's scanners, it looked like shadows swallowing the stars. They had never seen such precision, such terrifying silence. The humans no longer announced their attacks. They simply arrived and everything ended. Kareth received the first warning before the Chancellor did. His private console beeped with a coded signal, human encryption. The message was short, but its meaning was clear. "We are coming." He read it twice before deleting it. Then he turned to his aide. "Get me access to the planetary defense systems quietly." "But sir," the aide stammered, "that's treason." Kareth's expression hardened. "So is telling the truth." As the human armada entered the system, the Council's last great fleet assembled in orbit around Artheon Prime. The Chancellor stood before his admirals, his tone dripping with arrogance. "They think they can reach us here. Let them come. We will show them what it means to defy the Council." But even as he spoke, panic spread through the command decks. Human AI viruses had already infiltrated the fleet's systems. Shields flickered. Weapons malfunctioned. Communications broke down. The Chancellor screamed orders that no one could hear. On the planet below, Kareth watched the chaos unfold. The sky lit up with fire as orbital battles began. "They'll destroy the planet before surrendering," he muttered. And then he remembered Shade's warning. They will burn their own world before they yield. He rushed to a secure terminal and accessed forbidden files. What he found made his blood run cold. A secret project, codenamed Solar Lance. It was the Council's failsafe, a weapon capable of draining nearby stars to unleash their energy as a planetary defense. But it was unstable, Activating it would collapse the system's sun, killing billions. Kareth opened a channel to the human fleet, his voice shaking. "Rhea Holt, if you can hear me, the Chancellor plans to use the solar lance. If you strike the capital now, you'll trigger it." A moment later, Rhea's voice came through the static. "Then we'll have to move faster." Above the planet, the human armada broke formation and dove straight toward the capital's defense grid. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Dreadnoughts collided. Singularity bombs tore through cruisers, bending space around them. The sky became a sea of burning light. And in the midst of it all, human fighters plunged through the chaos toward the surface, carrying Rhea and her strike team. Inside the council chamber, alarms screamed as tremors shook the building. The Chancellor stood defiantly at the center, surrounded by guards. Kareth burst through the doors. "You have to shut it down," he shouted. "The solar lance will destroy everything." The Chancellor turned to him, his eyes glowing with madness. "You fool. The galaxy must learn obedience. If it burns with me." He raised his hand toward the control panel. Kareth acted before he could think. He drew his plasma blade and struck, cutting the Chancellor's arm clean off. Guards lunged forward, blasters firing, but Kareth fought like a creature possessed. He was no longer a senator, he was a survivor. He cut them down one by one until the chamber was silent. But the damage was done. The solar lance had already begun its activation. The sky outside turned blood red as the sun began to dim. Across the system, energy surged, tearing through ships and satellites. Kareth staggered to the control panel, desperately trying to stop the process. Come on. But the system was locked. Then Rhea's voice echoed through his communicator. "We're inside." "Get out of there." Kareth looked up at the collapsing ceiling and laughed bitterly. "Too late for me, human, but maybe not for the galaxy." He hit one final command, rerouting the weapons overload to the Council's defense network. Outside, the light from the dying sun flared, and a billion voices screamed as the energy rippled outward, consuming the Council's fleets. The sky above Artheon Prime turned white, and just before the explosion engulfed him, Kareth whispered, "Let them remember." From orbit, Rhea watched the planet ignite, a massive, silent bloom of light that erased the last shadow of the Galactic Council. The Council's empire was gone. Its arrogance, its tyranny, its lies all reduced to dust. But even as the light faded, Rhea knew this was not the end. The galaxy had been freed, yes, but something darker had begun, because the humans had proven their power, and now everyone feared what they might do next. The war was over, or so they thought. The Galactic Council had fallen, its fleets shattered, and its leaders erased in a blinding storm of their own making. Across the stars, silence spread, a heavy, uneasy silence that carried both awe and terror. The humans had won, but the galaxy trembled in their wake. No one dared challenge them now. Every world that had once mocked humanity now whispered their name like a warning. On the ruins of Artheon Prime, the air was thick with ash and smoke. Rhea Holt stood among the wreckage of what used to be the Council's capital, her armor scorched, her eyes hollow. Around her, squads of human soldiers moved silently, planting flags and securing data cores. The once glorious spires of the city were now reduced to blackened skeletons. Yet in that devastation, humanity had written its vengeance in fire. Admiral Voss arrived, his face illuminated by the crimson glow of the dying sky. "It's done," he said softly. "The Council's gone. Their systems are collapsing." "The galaxy is free." Rhea didn't answer right away. Her gaze lingered on the horizon, where alien refugees were gathering among the ruins. "Free," she repeated finally. "Or just leaderless." Voss frowned. "You think they'll come after us?" She turned to face him. "They don't have to. Fear will do the work for them." Hours later, aboard the flagship Titan's Wrath, a broadcast echoed across the galaxy. Rhea appeared on every screen, her voice calm but unyielding. "The Galactic Council is no more. Its crimes against humanity and countless worlds have been answered. But let this not be the birth of a new tyranny. We will rebuild, not as conquerors, but as equals." It was meant to inspire peace. But across the stars it sparked something else, uncertainty. Worlds that had suffered under the Council now feared the human strength. Their armies, their technology, their will to survive, it was too much. Whispers spread through alien colonies. If the humans could destroy the Council so easily, what could stop them from doing it again? In the far reaches of the Orion Belt, the surviving Council admirals met in secret aboard a drifting warship. They were broken, but not extinct. Admiral Threx of the Zorathi leaned over a holographic map, his claws tapping the surface. "They think we're finished," he hissed. "But humans are not gods. They bleed. They can be hunted." Another voice answered, a distorted signal from the shadows. "Perhaps. But to defeat them, we must understand them. Their rage, their unity, their fear." The voice belonged to no one in the room. It came from a hidden transmission node. "Who is this?" Thrax demanded. "A friend," the voice replied. "One who has studied the humans longer than you've lived." The Council's fall was predictable. What comes next is not. The signal cut out, leaving behind a single set of coordinates. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted. Cities glowed with light, banners flew, and people filled the streets chanting Rhea's name.